I think obviously, too, yesterday, it seems like the Cardinals play better when they don't have guys who are focused more on social justice and their hair and their batting gloves. Maybe when those guys hit the injured list, that's at least what my comments section.
Did it really?
That's why they think the Cardinals probably will do better now because guys that focus on social justice and their hair and headband are no longer with the team.
What was the tagline? Was it from Nate in Warson Woods?
So Bader goes on the IL with plantar fasciitis in his right foot, which is very painful. Pujols had dealt with that quite a bit. Really, it's like you're getting a knife in the bottom of your foot. And Bader said it affected him all season long, literally from the first second of the season. He said sometimes it was manageable. It got so bad that he said, I wasn't the same player anymore. I wasn't me. I felt I had to do something, so he's out. I don't know. I mean, Bader plays hard. I don't really understand it. And then Jack Flaherty goes on the IL with a right shoulder strain. I don't really get, and I don't think it's a lot of people. Charlie, you know this stuff better than I do, but you always talk about, like, it's a small slice of idiots on social media, I think. Jack Flaherty's a good dude. You may agree with him politically, you may not, but he's a really talented pitcher. I think the real issue now is nothing to do with headbands or views on politics, but there is a disconnect, and we have the sound. So Jack wanted to cut short his rehab program to come back and pitch at the major league level. So it was his third the other day, lasted 2 innings. It didn't work out well. His first one wasn't good, said he was too amped up. His second wasn't good. He said, I don't know, I didn't feel great. And then the third one, he said he had a dead arm coming out of it, so he goes on the IL with a right shoulder strain. So the question is that a fair criticism to say, well, why did you guys cut short the rehab? And then yesterday, Mo talked about that, and then Jack talked about it because there were a lot of media there asking questions about Jack going back on the IL.
A lot of it's based on the feedback you're getting from the athlete, and at that point, he was very optimistic of where he was. Internally, we debated that, but ultimately, it's not our decision. So, we laid out a plan. Plan was deviated, and here we are.
I wouldn't change anything. I don't know what you guys are looking for. You guys are obviously going to look for somebody to blame. That's what you guys have to do. But why would we go change anything? Everything felt great. We did everything the right way. Training staff did everything the right way. Organization did everything the right way. I wouldn't go change anything. It's unfortunate what's happened, but we did everything right. We were honest with each other through the whole process. Everything felt great.
Okay. There's a couple of things you got to dissect from this whole thing. First off, John Mozeliak saying it's his decision. Is it his decision?
Jack's
decision to be able to come back. It's not. It shouldn't be.
He has input.
He should have input, but you make the decisions. Your medical team makes the decisions as an organization for when you want him to come back. He doesn't give you that. I don't understand why you would say that.
And by the way, it's okay because if you go back a couple weeks, a lot of people said they agreed with the decision, including myself. So I can say I was wrong in saying that, but still it clearly didn't work out. So I'm not even that mad about it. It just didn't work out. And when I hear Jack Flaherty speaking, I also get that. Sometimes people just get injured. But this did not go well in the sense that I think you can look back with hindsight and say, you know what? It probably would have made sense to give him at least one more minor league rehab outing. Now, maybe he gets injured anyway. That's also a possibility. But I don't think you have as much second guessing if that happens.
And then he says, and he starts kind of blaming the media for that. Like you wouldn't change anything. Well, it didn't work out too well for you. And then I read an article today about he's blaming the media for this. It just doesn't sound good, man. Like he's always down. He's kind of like, a little, I don't know, Jimmy. Like he knows he kind of messed up on that. It's very bizarre how they would let him make that decision. Then he goes out and he's pissy with the media. Like it's just not going good for that dude.
All right,
any
so
sense of
here are my thoughts on it. First off, I've said it before. I like Jack. I respect Jack. When he's healthy, he's a great pitcher. I don't think the media was looking for someone to blame. This media in St. Louis, I don't want to say soft, like the media in most cities generally reflect the fan base. That's their job, right? And like in Philly or other markets where you have a ton of independent sports talk radio that are just looking to get some clicks, and so they'll always stir up controversy. St. Louis isn't like that. No. I don't think the media was looking to start a controversy with this. It was kind of dumped in the media's lap. Mo brought up it's fair to look at that and say maybe we handled that wrong. Now, so I disagree with Jack that the media was looking to find someone to blame. I just think you were asking like standard questions. Now with Mo, I was curious about that because it is ultimately the organization's decision. However, if Jack Flaherty, here's something about Jack Flaherty. Like when he first came up, like with other young players, Jack was the leader. And even veterans say, some of the veterans look at the way Jack prepares for every day, for every start. They want to be like that. Veterans, that's the truth. I've had veterans say, that kid, the way he prepares and is so locked in, I need to be more like that. So Jack came with a resume of leadership and doing it the right. So I can understand if you're the team leadership, if you're the guys in the front office listening to what Jack wants to do. But to say it's the player's decision, I'm not so sure I agree with it. That's my lackluster take.
Just so everybody knows, when I say things like Bader and Flaherty, I personally don't care at all. I really don't. I don't care what any of these dudes tweet whatsoever. And if you're entertaining on the field, I like that even more. I think the main part of this is Jack Flaherty being constantly injured. That's the root of all of this. That's the root of basically all these questions and why he's not happy, why the organization is not happy. That being said, I do think you can handle it better. And once again, I could care less what Jack Flaherty tweets or anything he does off the field. That's me personally. But I do think in being injured the last couple years, 2-3 years, he's very frustrated. He does come across mopey.
Down
on the
yes.
field. I understand that he's out there. He's frustrated because his arm is not reacting the way he would like. The ball's not coming out the way he would like. But I do see bad body language.
Yeah, man.
And I get that. And I think the root of all of that is injury. But I also think he can handle the situation a little better in what is a tough situation that everybody hates.
It's everything combined.
It's difficult. But when you add that, there was some defensiveness obviously there in the comments. So that doesn't help the situation.
No, it doesn't.
And in fairness, I mean, this is the way Jack wanted to do it. So he should take ownership. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes, you make a decision, it doesn't work out. Who knows if it would have been better if he did some he as he pointed out, who knows? But I agree, he could probably handle it better. But here's the other underlying thing, too, with people that are frustrated because Flaherty is always injured, and I get that. But he's 26. I mean, he's still a young player. And if you can get this guy healthy and back on track, then you have a front of the rotation guy, which is hard to find. So you can understand why the Cardinals want to handle this as best they can. People are like, well, he's 26, and when he's healthy, he's already shown he's one of the better pitchers in baseball.
I do think it's fair to say, because Alex Reyes, they're similar ages. And I'm just talking about them on the mound. I think at this point it's also fair to wonder if this man is just always going to be injured. And I say that because if he has this minor issue in the shoulder that is there, and they chose not to repair it surgically, and look, if you don't repair something surgically, it's always going to be there. Now, this is a different situation, but you see that with these folks that have that minor tear in the UCL.
Yeah, man.
Those folks, it was Masahiro Tanaka forever for the Yankees. Remember? He had the minor UCL tear, so they never did Tommy John. And that lasted a couple years. But I just think if you have that minor strain, whatever it is, and you don't repair it surgically, I do think there's a good chance that either that continues to be injured or, as we talked about yesterday, if you're overcompensating for weakness in a different part of your arm, or if you're overcompensating to not have pain from a certain arm angle, usually then, this is what happens with Reyes. The injuries go up and down that kinetic chain from your back to your shoulder to your elbow and back, wherever it starts.
Yep.
So I do think it's fair to say with Jack Flaherty, is this a man who is not going to be able to throw 30 starts a season?
So and they both were asked about if there was any regret not taking care of it surgically, and Mo and Flaherty both said no, that they think they handled it the right way. I agree, though. I mean, the concerns are legitimate, but the other side of it is he's 26. You know, even if he had the surgery, you're still going to get, someone's going to get a lot of baseball from Jack Flaherty if he's healthy, because when he's healthy, he's a really good pitcher.
And by the way, can I just say real quick
Yeah.
before we get to Nate Dogg? I'm not saying this is why the Cardinals did it this way, because also it always comes down to the player and what they want to do with their own body. But if you're the Cardinals, let's be real, the writing is on the wall with the arbitrations the last couple of years. Jack Flaherty's not going to be here beyond next season. He just isn't. I mean, I would put my money right now on that. And you know what? If he gets healthy this year, I think it makes sense to trade Jack Flaherty in the offseason if he's not going to sign here long term.
Well, he seems down and out.
So if you're the Cardinals, and I'm looking at this logically, if you only have a year and a half left probably of team control of Jack Flaherty, you want to get something out of him. You don't want him to have surgery and be out for another year.
I know. I get you.
But this is also Jack's decision.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And
Jack makes
what we
decisions.
could do is we could kind of get a hold of Jack and say, hey, if you do come back to the Cardinals, we can find a spot for you on Hot Take Central and sort of add.
I don't want grumpiness on this show. He's too grumpy. I don't like his body language.
Maybe actually,
I don't.
Maybe if you got in his ear, maybe you could straighten that out.
I would. Body language, man. I'm telling you. I see it. Sir Nathaniel, you love his tweets. Let's say you.
Well, I mean, I think the organization just counted on him too much from a standpoint of, Jack's going to get healthy. And actually going into spring training, there was no even word about this tear. And then all of a sudden, you learn right as they get out of the lockout, we might not have Jack Flaherty. Oh, why? Well, he's got this tear. Oh, well, that's kind of intriguing. So you're telling me that the best thing you could do in the offseason was go sign Steven Matz, who's also had a history of injury issues, and then Drew Verhagen and Nit Whitgren? And the team, even with Flaherty, may have been a little flat from a pitching standpoint. And they didn't do enough to address the vacancy that leaves when you don't have an ace on your staff. So, look, we can sit here and discuss semantics, whether or not Jack Flaherty is sophomoric with his tweets and if that's impacting his play or whatever. But the reality is that from most Cardinal fans' perspective, if you're competing on the field and you're playing well, you can overlook some of the nonsense that he puts on social media. But when you're hurt, and then you're sort of like being defensive about it.
There it is.
And you're not taking any accountability.
There it is.
And you're tweeting nonsense.
There it is.
It all sort of accumulates into this overarching idea that you just suck. We don't need you.
Yeah, in a lot of ways you suck.
Bigger.
That's a little much.
Well, no,
They were doing so good.
But hold on,
no,
let me
he's
finish.
doing good.
Let me finish
Go
my
ahead,
point.
go ahead.
I'm saying that Jack, he doesn't suck as a person or a player, but like the organization is bigger than Jack Flaherty.
Yeah.
So take your big ego inflated head and take a back seat, son. This Cardinals organization
Sit down.
has won 11 world championships, and let me check. You haven't won one of those. So please get off our lawn.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That was good.
You know,
You're right.
This is what I love about you. There's like some things you say, I'm like, I'm with that guy. I'm like, whoa, you lost me.
Whoa.
Drop me off at the corner. Check, please.
Just vote for me in a few years.
Wow, for what? For what?
Are you running against me
Nothing.
for lieutenant governor? Because that's what I'm going to run for. So here's the thing. Like, Jack's tweets are political views. Some people agree with it, some don't. To me, he's allowed to voice his opinion. I actually respect the fact that he's putting himself out there, okay? Whether I agree or not, I respect that he's putting himself out there. I don't think that has any impact on what he's dealing with injury-wise. I don't think you kind of stuck that in there as part of it. I don't. I understand why fans are frustrated that he's not been healthy, but it shouldn't have anything to do with what he tweets. Am I wrong?
Well, that's what I was going to say. And there's also a texture, which I agree with this text. So today I learned that anyone who doesn't agree with Nate is tweeting nonsense. Now, I understand that Nate personally disagrees. I also understand that we live in Missouri. I get it. Okay, I get when somebody tweets certain ways. Usually they might like one way of tweeting and they don't like another way of tweeting.
I don't really understand.
In the state of Missouri. But I do think there's a lot of people, probably close to half, that have no issue whatsoever with Jack Flaherty tweeting what he does and actually agrees with him. That's the one thing. I don't care at all, by the way. I don't care if you tweet conservative, Democrat. I really don't care.
Puppy pics?
Whatsoever. We usually talk about it only when somebody's not doing well. But I do think it's fair to mention that close to half of the people have no problem whatsoever and actually agree with what Jack Flaherty tweets about. That's also a fact.
So one of the things I always rely on you on, because you know more about social media and stuff like that. So I always take it as whatever you say on social media, understand that that's not necessarily general consensus on anything. You have, a bunch. So I agree with you. There's a lot of people that agree with Jack, right? But I think the blowback that he gets on Twitter makes you think a lot of people, are angry at him for his tweets. I'm not so. I think most Cardinal fans are like you. Most Cardinal fans don't really care. If he's pitching well, they're going to cheer for him. That's what you know better than me because you have a better sense for these things because, that's your business.
Well, I also think we're getting into a different conversation. Jack Flaherty is a Southern California kid. We live in St. Louis, Missouri. What I'm trying to say is, I do think there are certain fan bases that would appreciate Jack's tweets more than the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, if I'm wrong on that, feel free to crush me. But I think if he pitched for the Dodgers or the San Francisco Giants, I don't think there would be the fan blowback to his
Sure there
opinions.
would. There would always be. If you're mopey and you're playing like
I'm
crap.
talking about tweets.
That's
I know.
a different issue.
All right, but it's all
I
combined
understand.
together. It's not just his tweet. It's everything. So
This
it's
is
like,
I respect-
wait, this is so like a deplorables comment you just made, where you're just completely writing off like the state of Missouri because they're not progressive enough to understand where Jack is coming from supporting BLM.
I don't think he said that.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Are you saying that Jack's opinions would not go over well in San Francisco or LA than St. Louis, Missouri? Are we really debating that?
I don't think that tweets are like central to someone's playing location. I think when you get on Twitter, you open yourself up to a mound of criticism from every single direction. I don't think playing in one city. I don't think they're going to give him a rousing ovation.
You
in
talk
San
about this
Francisco.
all the time with Gabe Kapler. You literally talk about the exact thing I'm saying about how things that Gabe Kapler does and what that coach did arguing Mike Schilt in San Francisco plays in San Francisco. You literally said that on the show.
I've never said that.
You absolutely did. We can go to the tape. You're telling me Gabe Kapler, what he talks about, does not play better in San Francisco than St. Louis?
I think it plays better with their media.
Well, that's also the market. It's the people that live there. It's a more progressive, liberal area.
Well, I think
we
all
really
the
debating
media is
this?
pretty liberal.
Are we really debating this?
I'm not.
I'm sitting
this
back
is like
listening.
insane.
I'm sitting back listening.
I mean,
to you.
if a player is going to honestly choose where to play because his tweets are going to be more emotionally accepted,
I didn't say that.
I'm going to Arkansas.
all right.
I mean, wow.
Let me.
What a world.
Well, I think
He got drafted.
I think
by
what
the Cardinals.
Charlie, I kind of agree with Charlie. I understand what you're saying, Nate, and there's much love. But Charlie's point was that if Jack played in a different market, there's a likelihood that in certain markets his social media stuff would go over much better with the fan base. I don't think that's right. That's what you were saying. I don't think there's a lot of debate about that.
I can't believe we're even debating this. Are we we're really saying that a man who's more liberal is not accepted more by the market and the fan base in a San Francisco or a Seattle? Is that really up for debate?
Well, let's just look at some of the most expressive tweeters across platforms of sports. I think that they create Jack is probably one of the most outspoken players in Major League Baseball. True?
I mean, he's one of them.
Okay.
But he really just tweets a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, he's not.
Well, that's still loud.
That's pretty loud.
It's just
He
loud
he
still.
made a stand early on with BLM. Okay,
Yep.
and so that was. I thought he's kind of softened it since, and
he
now
called the
it's-
players-
Now it's every once in a while a tweet.
Didn't he say something about the people
He
that don't want to
called
wear
players
the pride?
absolute jokes.
Yeah, that's loud to do that. It's kind of loud. It's like if you're gonna call people absolute jokes for not doing, that's loud. Still loud.
So he wants everyone to accept his positions, but then when they disagree with him, then he calls them absolute jokes. I see how it goes. But then his way is accepted because, of course, if you don't wear the pride flag, then, I mean, come on.
I hear you. I hear you.
But I don't understand the debate we're having. It seems very obvious to me what I said.
Well, let's hear what the text line has to say because they're always right with everything. They sort it all out for us. 855-282-8255. Jobu chimes in and goes, Chuck, you're wrong. You said if he was pitching in San Fran or LA, they wouldn't care what he tweeted. The problem is he would actually have to pitch.
Right, and that's a straw man text. We all know the crux of all of this is the man is constantly injured and not actually pitching, which is why we're even talking about the tweets. Because guess what? If he was 10-3 right now with a 2.6 ERA, striking out 8 dudes a game, nobody would care whatsoever because he's dominating on the mound.
If he's still grumpy, I'd care. You know how I evaluate
He
that.
wouldn't be grumpy though, because
Well, you don't know. Some guys are 24/7 grumpy.
But Jack Flaherty has a swagger that when he's pitching well, he looks confident. He's got swag where after a strikeout, he's got a nice strut. Okay, I know it's been a while. Well, look, last year, people forget the first third of the season, Jack Flaherty was awesome. I understand Jack Flaherty has been injured a ton. You can't debate that. But when Jack Flaherty's pitching well, he does have that confidence on the mound. He's got that strut going. It's hard to have that when you're constantly hurt and you're giving up 4 spots to the Pirates.
See, this is where I agree with Cam. I think even when things aren't going well, you have to have a mound persona.
Yep.
Like I've had, even with trying to teach my kid things. One of the things that I was told by a couple of former players, including Ricky Horton, is when you're on the mound and things aren't going well, your face should say that's exactly what you wanted to happen.
Yes.
And I do think that's part. And so I don't think Jack has handled this well. It's probably very difficult for him coming back, so I get that. But he hasn't looked good even on the mound when things aren't going well. But that has nothing to do with. I separate that from the tweets and his stand.
It's like when
on
Benner.
stuff. One thing has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah.
Just like his injuries have nothing to do, or Bader's injury have nothing to do with bandanas or political views. Nothing to do with it. But I do agree.
Bandanas.
But I do agree with you that I don't think he's looked great in terms of his mound presence during his comeback.
And that does affect the guy. I always look at it from a different view when it comes to that. When you're up and you're down, you're always just down. Like it affects the players. Remember Benner was getting lit up and he put his head in me. I'm like, God, just stop looking. Like Lou would yell at him so bad. Body language, you bash your stick. Even in practice, he'd come down and yell at you. Like I'm telling you, it affects everybody. Mopiness affects the locker room. Go ahead.
I agree with you. And I will keep going back to the fact that all of this, the crux of all of this, is this man is injured, and the baseball. This is a dude who was born to play baseball. Ever since he was a little kid, he was the best at throwing a baseball of literally anyone on earth. That's the thing that he was put on this earth to do. He's always been able to do that well. The last 2 to 3 years, he gets on the mound. Like Jack Flaherty is not a guy that walks a lot of people. When Jack Flaherty walks 5 guys in 2-3 innings, that shows you that that's not right. That's Jack Flaherty literally not being able to command the baseball. So I understand. I do think it's hard to be confident and have a strut when you don't know where the ball's going. Right now, he's on the mound. He's probably trying to tinker with an arm angle. There's probably a little bit of pain or dead arm. And I'm not trying to be a doctor. I'm throwing out what's the
He says no
Dr.
pain.
Marlowe.
No pain.
Okay, but he had a dead arm.
Yeah.
So whatever. I'm just saying that Jack Flaherty doesn't know where the baseball's going. And it's probably the first time in his life that he's gone out there and he's throwing the baseball and it's not confident. It's not doing what he wants it to do.
No, I get that. I get that. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying you got to strut after you walk a guy. I'm just saying his post-game comments.
Yeah.
Look, it's.
I've agreed with all of that.
Like you said, just, if you say, hey, this is the way we did it. It didn't work out. Like Jack doesn't think. That's another thing from yesterday. Mo kind of said, we'll see him pitch again this year. Jack wasn't even answering. He said, no, I'm pitching this year. Like it wasn't even on the table. And he told me at first, and then it was a little confusing afterwards, but he basically said, look, there's some things we have to do. I haven't even talked to the doctors yet. But you got the impression from Jack, he just felt like this was a setback that they will get past. Who knows, though? Who knows? But he felt confident he would be back pitching. There's some things they're going to have to do to get him right, and then he'll be back pitching. Hopefully he's right.
I do agree with one thing Jack said in that presser, which is I know the media is looking for somebody to blame. Let's be real. We do that. Sometimes also, especially with pitching, which is an unnatural motion where people always get injured. And I'll bring up a different sport with the Blues. in the last 5 years, you had 2 guys who came back from injuries and then injured that same body part almost immediately, and it was Fabry with the knee, and it was Tarasenko with the shoulder. And so it's very easy also to say, okay, you rushed him, the surgery wasn't done right, whatever it is. And again, I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But sometimes also, man, people's bodies are built different. Some dudes don't ever get injured, and sometimes you fix that, whatever it is, it goes right back to being injured. We had Jake Berger. Remember Jake Berger from the White Sox, local kid? He was on the show a couple months back. He had one of the worst injuries in baseball, Achilles.
Oh.
But he does it when he's on the field. He's like, all right, I did it on the field. It's like what Ryan Howard did. But that's a tough injury to come back from. You can put up with that because it happened on the field. But then he slipped out of his flip-flop when he's walking around and did it again. Now, sometimes people just get hurt, man.
Yeah, okay, and that's true. But here's where I disagree with you. I don't think it's the media. They're going after someone to blame. They got the pitchforks out. No, what happened was, hey, Jack's going to go on another rehab here in Memphis. We're going to be real. Wait, he's starting tomorrow.
Oh.
Okay, so they cut that short. I think that's fair to ask about.
But that is blaming. I do it too. I'm not saying the other media.
I don't think it's about blame.
But
I think
that's
it's
what we're doing.
asking. I think it's all right. You shouldn't ask about it then. I don't think it's looking.
It's
for
a story.
Blame. You're going. It's a normal question.
I know.
It's not about trying to point the finger. You're saying, hey, if this didn't happen, would that? It's not really fine. It's trying to find out how this happened. Sometimes there's blame, but it's not like the media is always trying to find someone to blame. No, you're trying to figure out how we got to this.
I'm trying to find
hold
someone
on.
to blame.
Again, this happens a lot in the show. I don't think you heard what I said. I 100% get the media has to ask those questions. I'm glad that they do. We're on a radio show here. We're blaming people. That's what we all do.
Damn right.
I'm including myself. Like
Damn right.
we are assessing blame, right or wrong. We're saying, hey, it was on the Cardinals. They should have kept him in the minors. Hey, it was also on Jack. He's the one that wanted to come back, even if he thought he was healthy. In hindsight,
I'm blaming
it
his
didn't
Twitter
work.
account.
I'm not saying this is a negative. This is what we do in the sports world in discussing topics. We assess blame.
I think it's splitting hairs, but Jack said you guys always have to find someone to blame, and he mentioned 24/7 news cycle, which there isn't in St. Louis. You know, like St. Louis is a different animal. And generally speaking, everyone in the scrum that was asking Jack questions wants Jack to be healthy and pitch well. Of
course.
You know, it's not.
But it is a story,
It's not
Jimmy.
but I don't think the story isn't. We've got to blame someone. This is where I'm saying it's splitting hairs. You said you agree with him. Jack made it seem like, you know, we're just looking for someone to blame, and I understand his frustration. To me, this is how do we get here? And Mo brought that sort of into the fold by saying it's sort of up to the athlete how we navigate through this. Here's where I disagree. I don't think it's necessarily you can say it's the same thing. I don't think it is. We're not looking for someone to blame. We're looking for how do we get here? And
he said he's looking for you guys are always looking for a story. Well, this is a story.
Yeah.
It's a huge story. You're our ace and you're hurt, and that's a problem. And you came back too quick, so it's a story.
And I don't think people were like negative. Let's get Jack because everyone wants Jack.
He acted
Nobody
like
said
it.
that.
But he acted.
Nobody
like
said
it.
that. I think-
but he acted like it.
I don't want to get too far into this. I think for some reason on the show, we really like to argue semantics a lot
I know.
on this show.
I said it was semantics.
What we do in radio, when you're trying to get to the end of a story, the crux of a story, that is assessing blame. For example, when we talk about why do the Cardinals have no middle relievers whatsoever? Well, how did we get there? For all the great things John Mozeliak has done, it has not worked out with Verhagen, with Nick Whitgren, with who else? Brooks.
McFarland.
With McFarland being resigned. So we're trying to figure out how did we get to the point where the Cardinals, about 80 games in, are really struggling to find middle relief. So we're talking about that, and in a way, are we not assessing blame on John Mozeliak and the Cardinals organization for not having strong signings in the winter? Am I wrong there?
That's one way to look at it. But this is, again, I said it's splitting hairs. I said it. You can go back and listen. Like, is the question, hey.
That's not the way to look at it?
No, like, I'll give you an example.
With the relievers,
I'll
though?
give you an example. Hey, if they had handled Jack's rehab a little differently, is there a chance that he would still be healthy? That's not really about blame. You know, it's just a question of how did we get here? And it's splitting hairs, and again, it's semantics. I don't think it was really about who to blame for this, but it's a legitimate question. Hey, they cut short the rehab. Had he done it differently, do you think there's a chance that maybe it would have gone differently? I think that's a
imagine
fair
Jack
question.
Flaherty in Philly or New York City. He can't handle this. Huh. Have fun over there. You guys are always finding stories. Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
It would have been 50,000 times worse if you're in the Big Apple, baby.
but the
Just so you
difference
know.
is, like, I'm not trying to. I just disagree with Jack. I'm not saying he did anything crazy or way out of line.
I get you.
He's frustrated. I understand that. But I think where he's wrong is, I think the way he couched it made it look like the media was out to
get me.
No, everyone in that scrum would love for Jack to be healthy. Yeah. That's the way the media is in St. Louis. It reflects the fan base. We're not trying to demonize people, generally speaking. I'm talking about the media. And it's better for everyone in the media when the team does well. Is that fair? So that's how you get a media like the media in St. Louis compared to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and by the way, I agree with both parties here. But I think this is just me. Like, what we do on this show for 3 hours a day is we literally assess blame on organizations, on players, on presidents of baseball operations. Like, we always have the conversation. Is it more the coach? Is it more the player? Is it more the organization? Is it more the owner? Right? I mean, go back to Tarasenko. When he was asking for a trade last summer, the whole debate was the assessment of blame. Was this on Tarasenko? His comments, he wanted to be captain. Was this on the team doctors? Was he not happy with them? Was this on something in the room? Like, I just feel like all that we do in sports talk radio is basically kind of assess blame.
Well, who'd we blame in that situation? We blame 91.
Well, I think everybody.
We blamed him the way he handled it, the way he had his agent jump in and chime in, the way he.
You did.
I blamed him. A lot of people blame 91.
But I understand, and I'm not a doctor for the 87th time. I can certainly understand why Vladimir Tarasenko would have been very disappointed and frustrated with his constant injuries. And it's fair to ask the question, was it repaired properly each time? That's also a fair question. And if that happened to your body and your shoulder and you were out, you would ask the same question, and so would I.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's a fair question.
The way he handled it, though, we did blame 91 for that.
And if you go back, for me, I don't care whose fault it was. Like, Jack wanted to do it this way, and it's his body. He knows his body, and it didn't work out. Like, I don't care. It's clear that Jack pushed this. This is what he preferred. It didn't work out. I don't care, about who to blame. But I do think it's a fair question to say, had he done it differently, could there have been a different result?
Don't ask questions.
To me, like, when I ask questions, it's not. That's why I see it differently. I don't really care who's to blame because I think it was a legitimate way to go about bringing him back. So I don't care about the blame. It was clear to me that this is what Jack preferred, but I think it's a fair question to ask, what if it went differently? That, to me, is not about the blame game.
You want to hit the text line up, 855-282-8255. It's blowing up. Blowing up. Timmy Van Gelder chimes in. People turn to sports to escape the political insanity, and when the athletes inject it into it, people resent it. They tolerate it so long as the elite platforms. When they don't, they come off like Colin Kaepernick or James Woods in the acting field. Perform and then run your mouth. Mitchie chimes in. Goldilocks really has a bunion, and the organization is covering this up, and they don't want the bunion shame. Charlie, have you named your bunion and go to break? Now, we're not talking bunions anymore.
My bunion is named Harrison.
Ugh.
And he decorates it with my bunion.
Can I just say something, though, on that? So, I know you brought up some different people. Now, Kaepernick did his taking a knee before the game. Again, I don't care about that personally, but he did bring it into the game because it was seen on the broadcast. Now, I'm not a guy who follows James Woods. I like him as an actor.
Funny.
I understand he's a political guy. However, if you didn't follow James Woods on social media, does he have a show? I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't know.
You don't have
but
a
my
show.
point is, if you didn't follow Jack Flaherty on Twitter, or if you didn't follow James Woods on Twitter, I understand when George Floyd died that all of sports did the BLM situation. Mm-hmm. Other than that, is Jack Flaherty making political statements out there on the field? I know he's tweeting, but that's the same thing with James Woods. Like, if James Woods had a good acting role, I'd be like, man, that was a cool character.
Yeah.
It would have nothing to do with his tweets, which, by the way, I don't even follow.
He's pretty funny.
I agree with that. I don't think Jack has, like, I understand fans, it's their right to like a player or not player, so I don't have a problem with that. I don't think Jack's been over the top recently, and I just don't. Someone's political views have nothing to do with their health and what's going on with their shoulder.
Here's the one. Mickey
I've
chimes.
been ready for 3 years. I've been denied for 3 years.
Ready and denied. And I heard he's doing really well up there, and I guess is he in Vegas with his workout? Did you hear, oh boy?
Is he not doing well?
I heard
Oh,
Warren Sharp.
Warren Sapp
Yeah.
bashed
Oh,
him.
yeah.
Says the worst workout routine he's ever seen in his life. And it's funny because he usually gets a lot of attention. Where are those cameras at if he's doing well? Like there's no video of him doing anything. So I wonder why. Anyway, it's all good. Mickey chimes in and goes, "What the hell is Molina rehabbing in Puerto Rico and not with the Cardinals players? Molina should be helping out these young catchers. What a bunch of BS." It is kind of weird.
Fair
that
point.
Why is he down there?
Don't know. They say he's rehabbing, but you'd think with Herrera here, a young catcher getting his first taste, a little better.
It'd be nice to
leadership.
have, yeah.
But I don't know what's going on with Molina's knee, but I think it's a fair question.
But usually, if you have surgery, you'll probably be able to go home. Although you probably go home for a week, and if you even want to travel with surgery, I get that part. But if you're banged up, you're not leaving. You want to be around the guys. You want your trainer to know what's going on. I don't understand that.
I think it's a fair question.
And by the way, I think it's a very fair question, especially with the conversation we've had a ton of times on this show, and it's very visible during the games. Albert Pujols is here now in his final year as a specialist versus lefties, but also it's great for the fans, but it's a mentorship. And the same way that we joke and laugh, and it's great, by the way, when he has a bear hug after Nolan Gorman hits his second homer, when he's laughing and having fun with Juan Yepez, and they're having to give him gum because he talks so much, because he's talking to his hero, a future Hall of Fame baseball player. In that very same sense, Yadier Molina could have as much or more of an impact, even if he's not playing, by mentoring, hopefully, in Kisner and Herrera, the catchers of the Cardinals for the next 5 years.
I know, dude. Where you at? It's like Keith Kachuk getting banged up, and all of a sudden he goes back to Boston for 3 weeks. I don't get it.
Look at that face on Pujols.
I know, he
hugging
loves
Gorman.
that.
I'm going to
And
send this picture
good
to
for
Nate.
Pujols, though. Like,
And
he's
Nate,
there.
You can throw this on one of the things you tweet out with the sound, because I love Albert has the greatest smile on his face as he's hugging Gorman, and Gorman's like, "Okay, guy,
Yeah,
I get it."
Yeah, well, that's why he's there. It's a big reason why he's still there doing his thing. Anyway, let's see. 636 chimes in, goes, "Don't care what Flaherty tweets. He's here to pitch. Think the microscope is still on him because the Cards built him up as an ace. Cards have needed pitching for years and quit depending on injury-prone players and bargain bin backups." Ooh, that was a tongue twister. If they got quality proven pitching, I think less focus would be on Jack. Most of this is on Mo, capitalize. Quit depending on question marks, capitalize. Quit depending on question marks, capitalize.
So wait, was that assessing blame? Was this on Mo? Was
I
that
don't know.
assessing blame? Are we allowed to do that? I know we've never
Every
done
time
that.
I read something,
we've never done that on the radio
I don't-
before.
Every time I read something, it doesn't sink in my brain. I just read it, for you guys.
Honestly, it sucks because the focal point should be how Yepes played last night.
That's not controversial at all.
No, I need. What did he
he's-
tweet? What did he tweet?
Come on.
What are you, a
Exactly.
rights holder?
What's going on
I
with
am.
you?
What are you, a rights holder?
Oh.
Seth?
We don't like to be positive
No.
here.
De Jong's going to come back and bat 300.
We have bad body language on this show.
Let me tell you what happens when I make a YouTube video. If I put Juan Yepez hits 2 homers,
Yay.
couple views. If I put Jack Flaherty's tweets, lots of views.
That's how it works.
Hot Take Central slams Jack Flaherty.
Yes.
I hate to even say this, but as I was sitting there getting the sound with Flaherty and Mozeliak, I honestly thought to myself, Charlie Marlowe should be here
I
because
know.
this would get a lot of clicks for his YouTube. I was thinking of you.
Well, I think as a media member, it's not wrong to think this. When you go to a press conference or a media availability or you ask a question and you go, "Oh, that was a boring answer I'm not going to use." And when you hear an answer and you go, "That's good. That's spicy."
But I was
Spicy.
thinking of you.
Well, thank you.
I want you in pregame scrums. Sometimes.
it's
Go down
spicy.
there. Go down there and stay.
I would like to come down to the Cardinals every once in a
Oh,
while.
they don't let
That's
you.
still my goal.
They don't let you.
All right,
That's
today I'm revisiting
No,
that again.
I haven't personally revisited that since around opening day. I'm not going to lie.
Yachty, go ahead.
You would have gotten a lot of clicks.
A
Yes.
lot of clicks. Yachty
You would
gets-
have written some sensational in your little lead into it, playing the Marlowe blame game, and gotten a lot of clicks.
But here's the difference. Here's what I really would have done. because even though I make fun of the media all the time, unlike Nate, I can actually admit I'm in the media, even though we all don't really want to be in the media.
I don't want to be in the media.
But I actually, although I've never considered myself a journalist, I do take journalism seriously. So I would have put the entire scrum just unedited so that you can go as a person and I'm not picking and choosing sound bites and you could hear the entire media availability. That's what I always do because I feel like that's transparent.
I don't follow.
Charlie is right.
I don't follow James Woods, but I see his stuff through likes. I actually had to unfollow Doug Vaughn because of the crap he liked. And Charlie is close to being unfollowed for the same reason.
Do it.
What's Charlie do? But you don't like. Charlie and Doug are on the complete opposite spectrums. I guess that's what he's talking about. But what do you like?
No, we're not.
I don't even like political.
Opposite spectrums. I'm much more. I'm pretty close to the middle, actually.
Now,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not an independent. Don't get me wrong.
I am an independent.
Okay. Go ahead.
Would you like me to put together a list? I was just thinking the other day what Democrats I voted for. Jill Shoup was another one I voted for.
Are these all in like the 80s?
No, you must not know local politics. Well,
I don't.
Educate.
Yes.
Educate yourself.
Yes, okay. Everybody.
My point was.
Let's go around the dance. Who's Joe Shoup?
He's a
It's
great
Jill.
guy.
It's Jill.
She's a
I voted
great
for her.
woman.
All right.
A great woman.
So you asked for some evidence.
So
to give my point.
A week
my
later, by the
question
way, a week later after we talked about this, I voted for Jill Shoup. That was a week ago we had this conversation.
Yeah, because you brought up, you made fun that I'm an independent. So I just gave you
I've
information.
sat next to you on the radio for
Educate
14
yourself
years.
and get back to me.
No,
Now,
no, maybe you educate yourself of what an independent is.
can I get back to you? Can I get back
No,
to you?
because you're not going to have the
something
last
else?
word. I've sat next to you for 14 years. I've never in my mind ever thought you're an independent
Take
ever.
the L. Take
It's
the
not.
L.
It's not an L.
Take the L.
Just admit you're a Republican.
I'm not.
Just admit you vote for Republican
You're
for 95%
calling me a
of
liar.
the time.
You're calling me a liar now.
I'm calling
not.
you a misrepresenter.
No. I'm not a Republican, and I voted Democrat. That's why I wouldn't be one party, because I don't always just vote party line. I'm sorry you don't believe me, but it's the truth.
It's not believing you. It's literally I sit next to you for 3 hours a day, and oh, by the way, the conversations that I try to avoid during the breaks.
Nate's an independent, though, right?
Yes.
There you go. There you go.
I'm sorry.
We're all independent.
I'm sorry. I'm not as virtuous, and I lie on the air about who I vote for. But I did want to ask you about this, because this is one I'm confused about.
I didn't get that one.
I lie on the air about who I vote for. I vote Republican across the line.
It's not about lying.
So
it's about
I'm lying. I'm a liar.
No,
I'm a liar.
No, in a radio show, like if you listen to this show every day, or if you listen to folks on the air every day for 10, 5, 14 years, do you not, as an audience member, get a good representation of how they believe? I mean, it's hard not to.
You're saying that there aren't candidates that could be more in the middle that encompass more of what I believe than a Republican? You're saying that that's not possible, and I'm saying
I'm not.
in local elections it does happen. And that's why I say educate yourself and get back to me. Now, can I just say this? Can I move on from this?
No, you
can
can't.
I move on
because
from this?
educate yourself. We all sit next to you. We sit next to you for 3 hours a day. We hear what you complain about all the time.
4 hours. Thank
endlessly.
you.
Yes,
4
4
hours. Thank
There's a reason I'm only here 1 minute before the show.
Oh, you were doing the same thing when he's not here.
Now,
No, I wasn't.
now,
You're messing with the
wrong guy. Can I?
When he's not here?
Can I ask the question
Do we
I
ever,
wanted
by the
to
way,
ask?
when you and I had a show, did we ever talk about any of this crap? No. We go ahead though.
Isn't Nate a new addition to the show too?
Whatever it is.
Independent Nate.
Don't I sometimes cut off Nate and say, "Yeah, you jumped the shark here"? Now, my question is, how on Twitter do you get notified of someone else's liking
It's goofy.
someone?
It's
Because
goofy.
Twitter does that.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't
Twitter
know.
is annoying.
They just started that like a year ago, I think.
I don't have that.
I want to turn mine off, but I don't like any political thing, even if I like it.
I don't care
like it.
if someone likes something. So
pops up.
I've said this before. I have Ekaphon for Twitter, and I think it's like the oldest version of anything Twitter related. But the part I like about it is I don't want to know what people like. I don't really care. I don't care if it's a friend of mine or
I hate
a
how
coworker.
they do that.
Just because someone likes something, I don't care. So I don't want to be notified of that.
All right.
You're saying on regular Twitter, people are notified of that?
I feel like I see other people's likes.
Yeah,
or
you do.
Maybe I used to, and I switched the setting.
I know.
I don't know, to be honest.
It's
with you.
bad. I don't want
Here's a good example.
Yeah.
The other day, Twitter started something called viral tweets. and I put this out on Twitter. I said, is this something we all have to deal with now? Because if there's a viral tweet that you have no interest in and you don't follow that person, but hey, this is a trending tweet. So they put it in your timeline. And I said, is this something that we all just have to live with? Somebody DM'd me and said, no, go to your settings and go switch it to just chronological order. And I did that, and I no longer get viral tweets. And oh, by the way,
flooding, yeah.
I no longer get what I hated, which is what Twitter loves to do, and they send you back 18 hours ago.
I know.
And show you a tweet from 17 hours
that have
ago.
7 likes. So it's like an irrelevant tweet, too. Like, I got to fix my Twitter, man. I'm not even getting any information off that damn. It's too flooded, and it pisses me off. Let me get to the text line. We do got to go to break. My God. The cat is a rabble-rouser, and Charlie falls into the trap every time.
Yeah,
How's
fair.
it a trap?
That's fair.
Charlie, just when I started liking you, you pile on the cat. Unacceptable. That's from Sharon.
No, I did
Enjoy
not.
that.
I did not just start piling on.
Hurt
the
my
cat.
feelings.
Well,
I hate to tell you guys,
taking
right
advantage.
now I'm in my feelings. Right now I'm
my
in my
We
feelings.
care about your feelings. But
my
Brody, who
goodness.
voted for cops no longer having to inform people of their Miranda rights and taking away rights from women? Oh, God. We'll get into Roe versus Wade next segment. I don't know. Colby Wrestler's dad, can you all please say who you voted for in the last presidential election so we all know who Nate really is friends with? Rock the rectal rooter. Next thing you know, Charlie will be defending Biden's talking points about the Putin price hike. You clowns fighting on live air is so entertaining. It is pretty funny. Seth's has the right. Seth's. God dang. Seth's got the right idea. In the age of excessive irony and sarcasm, the new counterculture is sincerity in the takes. Laugh out loud.
I don't really get that.
Oh man, I think I'm messing up with the reading part, of course.
Now I'm curious about that because don't you think that everybody on the show is pretty sincere with their takes, even if you disagree with them? Like I don't ever come on the show and say, "Oh, I'm going to say this for likes." No. I say what I actually feel.
Yeah.
I feel like Nate does too, even if you disagree with him.
Oh, Nate knows what he knows. Like Nate thinks the way he thinks, and there's nothing changing him about that, man. Like he's going to bring it one way or the other. There's nothing fake about Nate.
Someone on the text line
He might
said-
be a little late once in a while.
Someone on the text line said my Mozeliak and Flaherty takes. I said a lot of words but never made a point. So someone
Yeah, that was.
criticized
I
me.
think Mitchie chimed in on that. Yeah, that's all good.
Well, I think this is a different conversation. We're way late. I find it odd that on this show we so often debate the semantics of words and not the actual crux of the debate, and that's very odd to me. I don't feel like it really it's a waste of time in my mind.
Well, I think
Like
give me an
say-
example.
Well, we do this all the time. I mean, I'm not even trying to bring in Stoic. That's a different situation. But like,
Yeah, we beat that up already.
have we not all
the L.
watched TV and listened to ourselves and listened to other radio shows? Literally, what we do, right or wrong, is assess blame. You're assessing blame on a pitcher for not pitching well, or a hitter for not hitting well, or an organization for not drafting well, or for a manager not managing a bullpen. I just feel like the entire, you throw the story out there, you throw information, you throw facts, but also there's an editorializing of it, which is assessing blame and assessing the situation.
I think we talked about a lot of things before we got caught up in the is it blame or not, which is a semantic argument. I get that. But my whole thing was sometimes it's easy just to say it's about assessing blame when there's a better way to look at it. That's all. We're close.
But I think specifically today it's because that's what Jack Flaherty said.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm just saying all I try to do is give context from the point of view from what I sense the media is. It's not like, we got to blame someone. It's like, how did we get here? Which could be considered a blame thing, I get. But I think it's a little different in context. That's all. We're close.
No, the context is the most important part.
Yeah. If we are the idiots that give these actors and athletes a voice, we hold them in such high regard. If we stop following their voice, wouldn't travel as far. It gives a microphone to a monkey. Ooh, easy on that, Sanderson. Change the monkey to like a donkey.
How about this?
God.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
All right. You have athletes you love. Maybe you don't agree with them politically. So enjoy them as athletes, and then don't put a lot of context or emphasis on what they say. Like, you can still like the player if you disagree with them politically.
Unless they shove it in your face every damn day, then it's like hard to.
But hold on, see, that's
I don't think he does that.
No. I didn't say that he did.
I know you
But
didn't.
there's some guys that kind of
But
do.
this is where, again, I know we have to break.
Yeah, we do.
But like, Some people allow it to be shoved in their face by constantly talking about it. Tell me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
And I don't care how you think about me politically. Do I ever come on this show with a take and start ripping on a Republican or a liberal for the way they tweet? Do I ever bring that up?
I don't know.
No, I'm asking you.
I don't remember.
I've been doing radio for 4 years with you. It's oftentimes reacting. So my point is, some people, you say it's in your face, you're allowing it to be put in your face by focusing on it. Like when Jack Flaherty tweets, I just look at it, I move on. I never talk about it unless it's brought up on this show.
Yeah, he's not too bad
And
about
by the
it.
way, it's fine that it's brought up. But I would say the same thing with James Woods. I don't follow James Woods. I know he's a Republican.
I
but
get you.
When I see, because I do see those tweets, James Woods will.
I honestly
James
don't.
He's
Woods-
hilarious, but go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. James Woods will tweet something. Somebody else will retweet it.
He was great in Casino.
He's a great actor.
Great in
By the way,
Casino.
I see that tweet. I go, okay, that was either funny. I probably disagree with it, but I move on with my life and I never bring it up.
Okay.
So that's in my face, but I'm not tweeting about it. I'm not YouTubing it.
What
I'm
if-
not talking on the radio.
What if you're
about
like
it.
Nate and you love women's soccer and you're a big Megan Rapinoe fan, but you
Nate-
don't agree with her? Like,
Let's-
is that not in your
No.
face what she does
Let's
every
let
damn time?
Nate answer for himself.
He's a huge Megan Rapinoe
I
fan.
believe that everybody has a different style of radio or media. I believe that Nate really embraces those discussions. Am I wrong?
I enjoy it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the best.
That's my whole point.
But you know what I mean, though. But
on,
like,
Nate.
if you were like I say like Flaherty doesn't do enough to where it's in your face always. Like I get you, but like a Megan Rapinoe, if you're a big soccer fan, which I am, of course, especially women's soccer, and you didn't agree with her, she's always in your face with stuff. Like I'd say she's pretty loud.
Okay.
So
Again,
it'd be hard to like not notice it.
I understand maybe this isn't interesting. I'll just compare myself and Nate.
Oh, boy.
No. Nate, tell me if you think I'm wrong. My style of radio is I like to come in and talk about a sports show, and I try to inject humor. That is my goal on the radio. Now, maybe I'm not good at it. That's how I
think
try.
you're good.
I think you're pretty.
But that's how I
pretty good.
try to do radio. I understand sometimes we fall into these political conversations that last an hour. Now, Nate,
Hour and 10 minutes.
tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like your style is sports, but you really enjoy injecting the politics into it. Am I wrong?
I think that's a fair
Okay.
assessment.
It's just a different style.
my God.
It's a different style of radio.
What's my style?
Energy.
No, you tell me.
I don't know.
You tell
I'm
me.
all
You're-
over the place.
No, your style, you bring energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You bring honestly, this show suffers without your energy. And I like my job is to enrage Charlie and then say the phrase Putin price hike now and again. And I try to
And do research and come back later.
And I try to inject humor into the show too. It
Yes.
just doesn't work sometimes.
We all do.
So
we
if
all...
I were to break this segment up into two, because we've now gone an hour and 12 minutes, maybe part one,
and we're meeting with Zobrist today.
I know.
the gang has a big fist fight over Flaherty's tweets. Part two, a big coming together.
Yes. Yes.
And it really wasn't a fist fight over Flaherty's comments. It's the
Yeah.
coverage of the right.
By the way, I have no. I feel like this is endless. I think you took it like I was going after the media. I wasn't.
No.
In any way, shape, or form.
You misunderstood my misunderstanding.
I also have no
He
problem.
voted for Jill Shoop.
Oh.
I'm gonna go look for Jill Shoop. I have no problem.
yourself.
I have no problem. Kat, believe me. I actually read things down the middle. I don't come in talking about. I don't talk about critical race theory every day. So my point is.
You might be in like 3 years.
My point is, I doubt it. I can promise you that. My point, I don't even remember my point. Jack Flaherty, in saying the media is always looking for somebody to blame, I agree with him. We do that all the time.
Okay.
I
they should.
don't think this was the case here. I think we do it a lot. I think, and this is you're just following the storyline and where it takes you.
Charlie's a big Brittany Griner fan. Her squad always covers. That poor girl.
Agreed.
That poor girl.
How does that linger?
This is so. I hate it, man. It just pisses me off so much. Now I think she has a hearing Friday. All right, let's go to break. What are we doing? What are we doing, Charlie? What do you got over there? Good
Well,
segment. My God.
What I got is
Damn.
July 9th. It's a Saturday. Cardinals hosting the Phillies, the Fightin' Phils.
Oh,
that day,
boy.
25,000 fans, ages 16 and older, will receive the short-sleeved hooded pullover thanks to the Shane Company. This gray pullover features a neon bird on the bat. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com/promotions. And how about the Post Sports Bar
Oh, my
and
God.
Grill, the official cheesesteak of Hot Take Central. Stay posted, my friends. They bring you Matt Holliday Mondays. What a segment yesterday with Matt Holliday.
He was
and
great.
also Seth's Trivia Tuesdays coming up today. It's actually the morning
it's
at 9:30. And I'll tell you what, 4 brand new cheesesteaks.
Oh,
New location out there. Seth,
Lake St. Louis.
Lake St. Louis. Go ahead, Jim.
So, the holiday segment where it was a lot about parent and youth sports, how did that do on YouTube? Because I'm interested, and I thought to myself after, it's kind of, I was selfish leaning it that way because I'm a dad whose kid plays baseball. Did that do well? Were people interested in that segment on YouTube?
It really did not, but that's fine. But that doesn't.
No, that's on me.
No. See,
no, you got to do what you got
I'm
to
a
do.
selfish, non-independent.
none of this is interesting, I feel like. But just because
I'm interested in that.
Just because a segment does not do well on YouTube does not mean it wasn't an awesome, interesting, substantive segment.
People want to know, dude. Everybody's kids are
It's
playing.
about
Yeah.
flash.
Yeah.
It's about your thumbnail photo.
Yeah.
It's about your title. It's about, unfortunately, sexiness and controversy. That's what does well.
Okay, and I'm sorry if I ask you about it, but I honestly respect your knowledge of all that stuff, and I learned from you on that.
Well, sometimes the best segments don't make any money.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that flat out.
No,
Sometimes,
it's
that's
weird.
interesting to me.
sometimes because nobody listens to them
Well, we have
because they don't click on
It depends, man. Sometimes, like I know we're gonna get a couple good ones with this Claude Julian because he talked about Brad Marchand in a different kind of way no one else has. That's probably gonna blow up, but it just depends, man. It depends what it is. Oh, Jill Shoup just texted me and said you guys need to go to break. Jobu just chimed in. Okay, well if she
Attaboy,
did,
Jobu.
if she did, that's what we're gonna do.